Welcome, my friends, to Timeless Stories. Today, you are going to hear the true and powerful story of a girl who grew up inside a palace but did not feel free. She had almost no close friends. Other people controlled where she walked, where she slept, and who she could speak to. She was small, watched, and often lonely. But at the age of 18, that lonely girl became Queen of the United Kingdom. She would rule for more than 63 years. She would marry the man she deeply loved. She would raise 9 children. She would lose her husband and disappear into grief. Then, slowly, she would return and become the symbol of an age of industry, invention, strict morality, enormous wealth, terrible poverty, and a global empire. Her name was Queen Victoria. Julius Caesar changed Rome through war. Napoleon tried to control Europe through military power. But Victoria became powerful in a different way. She did not lead armies into battle. Her greatest weapons were endurance, duty, patience, memory, and the ability to continue after loss. This is not only a story about a queen. It is a story about control and freedom. It is about love and grief. It is about the difference between public power and private pain. It is also about the complicated cost of empire. As you listen, you can improve your English with clear words, natural sentences, and an unforgettable journey through history. Before we begin, subscribe to Timeless Stories and tell us in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is there. Now, let us return to London in the year 1819, where a baby girl was born without knowing that one day an entire period of history would carry her name. Alexandrina Victoria was born on May 24, 1819, at Kensington Palace in London. Her father was Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, a son of King George III. Her mother was Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, a German princess. At birth, the baby was 5th in line to the British throne. Several men stood before her. No one could know that those men would die without a surviving legitimate child, and that the little princess would move closer and closer to the crown. Her father died when she was not yet 1 year old. Victoria would grow up without remembering him. Her mother remained in Britain, but money was limited and the future was uncertain. The palace around Victoria looked grand, yet her childhood was narrow and controlled. Her mother and Sir John Conroy, a powerful advisor in the household, created a strict plan, later called the Kensington System. Its purpose was to keep Victoria dependent on them. She was rarely allowed to be alone. She shared a bedroom with her mother. She could not freely walk downstairs without someone holding her hand. Her days were carefully planned. Her friendships were limited. Her movements were watched. Conroy believed that when Victoria became queen, she would be young and inexperienced. He hoped she would make her mother regent and allow him to exercise great influence. To make this possible, he needed Victoria to doubt herself. But the plan produced the opposite result. Victoria became stubborn, observant, and deeply protective of her independence. She learned to hide her thoughts. She found comfort in drawing, music, reading, animals, and writing. Her governess, Louise Lezen, became one of the few adults she trusted. Victoria also kept journals, a habit that continued through most of her life. She was educated in history, religion, geography, music, and languages. She spoke English and German, and studied French and Italian. She loved opera. She enjoyed sketching people and scenes around her. Behind the controlled routine, her mind remained active. When Victoria was still a child, she was shown a family tree and understood that she might one day become queen. According to a famous later account, she answered with a simple promise: "I will be good." Whether the exact moment happened precisely as later remembered or not, the sentence expressed something real about her. Victoria understood early that the crown would be more than decoration. It would be a duty. As she grew older, the pressure around her increased. Sir John Conroy tried to make her sign a document giving him an official position when she became queen. During an illness, while she was weak, he continued to push her. Victoria refused. That refusal mattered. She was still a teenager. But she had already learned one of the central lessons of her life. People who say they are protecting you may sometimes be trying to control you. In 1836, when Victoria was 17, her German cousin Prince Albert visited Britain. He was handsome, educated, serious, and interested in music and art. Their families hoped they might marry one day. Victoria liked him, but no decision was made. Albert returned to Europe, and Victoria remained inside the difficult world of Kensington Palace. Then, before sunrise on June 20, 1837, everything changed. Two senior men arrived at Kensington Palace. King William IV, Victoria's uncle, had died. The 18-year-old princess was now queen. Victoria came downstairs wearing a simple dressing gown. She met the visitors alone. This detail was important. For the first time, she received the official news without her mother standing beside her. The controlled child was gone. The Queen had arrived. Victoria's first decisions were quiet but powerful. She asked to have a room of her own. She moved to Buckingham Palace. She removed Conroy from her inner life. She reduced her mother's influence and began choosing the people around her. For years, others had told her when to wake, where to go, and how to behave. Now ministers, ambassadors, soldiers, and members of Parliament bowed to her. But freedom did not remove danger. Victoria was young and politically inexperienced. The monarchy had survived periods of public criticism. Britain was changing fast. Cities were growing. Factories were transforming work. Many workers lived in dangerous conditions. Political reform was expanding, but power still belonged mainly to wealthy men. Her first prime minister, Lord Melbourne, became her political teacher and trusted companion. He explained government, people, and royal duties. Victoria relied heavily on him. Her closeness to Melbourne also showed her inexperience, and it caused political trouble when she appeared too connected to one party. Still, behind every public meeting, Victoria remained emotionally alone. She had won freedom, but she had no equal companion inside the palace. Then Prince Albert returned. In October 1839, Prince Albert visited Windsor. Victoria had seen him 3 years earlier, but now both were older. She noticed his blue eyes, gentle expression, narrow waist, and calm manner. She admired his intelligence and his love of music. Victoria was queen. By royal custom, Albert could not simply propose to her. The decision had to come from Victoria. Only a few days after his arrival, she asked him to marry her. Albert accepted. Their wedding took place on February 10, 1840, in the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace. Victoria wore a white satin dress with lace and orange blossom. White wedding clothes already existed, but her famous dress helped make the white bridal gown much more popular. For Victoria, the marriage was not only a royal arrangement. She was passionately in love. Albert entered a difficult position. He was the husband of a queen, but he was not a king. Many British politicians distrusted him because he was German. He had no clear official role at first. He could not openly command Victoria, and he did not want to appear as if he were taking her power. So he built influence slowly. He studied government papers. He organized the royal household. He advised Victoria on policy. He encouraged discipline, education, science, industry, and public service. Over time, he became her closest partner. The marriage was loving, but it was not always peaceful. Victoria had a strong temper. Albert could be serious and critical. They argued. They wrote emotional letters. They hurt each other and then repaired the relationship. Their first child, also named Victoria, was born in November 1840. Over the following 17 years, the couple had 9 children. Their second child, Albert Edward, known in the family as Bertie, would later become King Edward VII. Victoria loved her family, but motherhood was complicated for her. Pregnancy made her uncomfortable. Childbirth frightened and exhausted her. She sometimes suffered periods of sadness after giving birth. She could be affectionate, demanding, jealous, and controlling. Albert took family education very seriously. He wanted the children to be disciplined, intelligent, and prepared for royal duty. The family spent time at Osborne House on the Isle of Wight and at Balmoral in Scotland. In these private homes, they tried to create a warmer image of royal family life. Their children later married into many European royal families. This is why Victoria became known as the grandmother of Europe. Albert's interests extended far beyond family life. He supported scientific learning, design, education, and social improvement. His greatest public project was the Great Exhibition of 1851. The exhibition took place inside the Crystal Palace, a huge structure of iron and glass in London. It displayed machines, art, products, and inventions from Britain and many other countries. Millions of visitors came. The event celebrated industrial progress and helped present Britain as a leading world power. During these years, Britain was becoming richer and more powerful. Railways spread across the country. Steamships crossed oceans. Telegraph lines carried messages at extraordinary speed. Factories produced goods on a massive scale. But progress had a dark side. Workers, including children, often labored in terrible conditions. Cities were crowded and polluted. Diseases moved quickly through poor neighborhoods. In Ireland, the Great Famine caused mass death and emigration. Across the empire, British power expanded through trade, war, control, and racial hierarchy. Victoria felt sympathy for suffering people at times, but she was also a monarch at the center of this imperial system. Her life cannot be understood only as a romantic love story. The wealth, power, and confidence of her age were connected to hardship both inside Britain and across territories under British rule. As the years passed, Albert took on more work. He advised Victoria, managed family matters, studied public questions, and tried to guide their eldest son, Bertie, whose behavior often disappointed his parents. In 1861, the royal family suffered several blows. Victoria's mother died in March. Although their relationship had been painful for many years, they had grown closer, and Victoria grieved deeply. Albert was also exhausted and unwell. In late November, he traveled to Cambridge to speak with Bertie after a scandal involving the young prince. Albert returned weak. His illness became worse. Doctors diagnosed typhoid fever, though modern historians have debated the exact cause of his death. On December 14, 1861, Prince Albert died at Windsor Castle. He was 42 years old. Victoria was 42 too. The man who had become her husband, advisor, emotional support, and closest friend was gone. The Queen did not simply lose a person she loved. She lost the structure around which she had built her adult life. And the woman who had once escaped a childhood prison now entered a prison made of grief. After Albert's death, Victoria wore black mourning clothes. She kept his rooms prepared as if he might return. Fresh water was brought. His clothes were laid out. His memory remained part of daily palace life. She avoided many public ceremonies and spent long periods at Windsor, Osborne, and Balmoral. Ministers still received her papers and opinions, but the public saw much less of her. At first, many people respected her sorrow. Later, patience weakened. Newspapers asked why the Queen was absent. Some citizens complained that the monarchy cost money while its ruler remained hidden. Republican ideas gained attention. Victoria felt misunderstood. To her, Albert was not replaceable. She believed that no one could know the depth of what she had lost. Her grief also affected her children. She blamed Bertie for increasing Albert's stress before his final illness. Their relationship remained difficult for years. Victoria expected her daughters, especially her youngest daughter Beatrice, to remain close and support her. She often tried to direct the marriages and private choices of her adult children. The controlled daughter had become a controlling mother. At Balmoral, Victoria found comfort in the Scottish landscape and in the company of John Brown, a direct and loyal servant. Brown spoke to her honestly and protected her. Their closeness caused gossip. Some people believed their friendship was romantic. Others claimed much more. There is no certain proof that they secretly married. What is clear is that Victoria trusted him and felt his loss deeply when he died in 1883. Victoria also continued to work with a long line of prime ministers. She especially liked Benjamin Disraeli, who treated her with warmth, attention, and respect. He understood that Victoria wanted to feel useful, not merely ceremonial. In 1876, Parliament approved the addition of a new title. Victoria became Empress of India. She never visited India, yet India became central to the image and wealth of the British Empire. After the uprising of 1857, the British Crown had taken direct control from the East India Company. The empire promised order and protection, but colonial rule also meant foreign control, economic exploitation, racial discrimination, and the removal of political freedom. Victoria sometimes expressed concern for Indian subjects and asked officials to respect religious traditions. But personal sympathy did not end the deeper injustice of imperial rule. She remained the symbolic head of a system that gave Britain power over millions who had not chosen British rule. Slowly, Victoria returned to public life. She attended ceremonies, met leaders, opened buildings, and appeared before large crowds. Her black clothing, once a sign of disappearance, became part of her powerful public image. She no longer looked like the lively young queen of 1837. She was short, heavy, serious, and usually unsmiling in photographs. Yet people began to see her as steady and permanent. Governments changed. Technology changed. Generations grew old and died. Victoria remained. Her golden jubilee in 1887 celebrated 50 years on the throne. Representatives from across the empire came to Britain. Among the Indian servants who arrived for the celebration was Abdul Karim, a young man from Agra. Victoria became interested in him. She asked him to teach her Hindustani, and she called him the Munshi, meaning teacher. He introduced her to Indian words, food, and ideas. She gave him privileges and treated him as a trusted companion. The royal household strongly disliked his rapid rise. Racism, jealousy, class prejudice, and fear of influence all played a part. Victoria defended him, sometimes with great anger. By the time of her Diamond Jubilee in 1897, Victoria had ruled for 60 years. Crowds filled the streets. Troops and leaders from across the empire joined the celebrations. The old queen was presented as the mother of a global family. But the empire was not truly a family of equals. It included conquest, resistance, war, and forced obedience. The celebration showed Britain at the height of confidence, yet it also hid tensions that would grow in the next century. An entire age carried her name. In her final years, Victoria's body became weaker. Her eyesight declined. Walking was painful. She often used a wheelchair. Many people she had loved were already dead. Still, she continued to read official papers, write letters, question ministers, and follow international events. Albert was never far from her thoughts. In January 1901, Victoria's health rapidly failed at Osborne House, the home she and Albert had created together. Her children and grandchildren gathered around her. On January 22, 1901, Queen Victoria died at the age of 81. She had reigned for 63 years, 7 months, and 2 days. At that time, it was the longest reign in British history. Her son Bertie became King Edward VII. The Victorian age ended, and the Edwardian age began. Victoria had left detailed instructions for her burial. She wanted a military funeral and white elements instead of a completely black ceremony. Inside her coffin were private objects connected to the people she had loved. She was buried beside Prince Albert in the Royal Mausoleum at Frogmore. After 40 years of separation, the widow in black was placed beside her husband. Her death was mourned across Britain and throughout the empire. Her face appeared on coins and stamps, and her name spread across maps and monuments around the world. But what did Queen Victoria truly leave behind? She helped transform the public image of monarchy. At the beginning of her reign, the royal family carried memories of scandal and instability. Victoria and Albert presented a new model based on family, duty, work, and moral seriousness. She also proved that a woman could remain at the center of national life for more than 6 decades in a world ruled mainly by men. Yet her legacy is not simple. The Victorian age produced remarkable inventions, scientific discoveries, literature, railways, public institutions, and industrial growth. It also contained extreme poverty, child labor, harsh class divisions, violent colonial expansion, racial ideas used to justify domination, and the suffering of millions. Victoria did not personally design every policy of her governments. As a constitutional monarch, her direct political power had limits. But she supported the empire, enjoyed its symbols, and became its most famous human face. Therefore, we should not remember her only as a grieving wife or a strong queen. We should remember the complete picture. She was a lonely child who fought for independence. She was a young queen who made mistakes and learned to rule. She was a passionate wife who built a close partnership with Albert. She was a mother who loved deeply but often controlled too much. She was a widow who almost disappeared, then found a way to return. She was a symbol of stability during an age of extraordinary change. And she was the ruler at the center of an empire whose power brought pride to Britain and pain to many other people. Your beginning does not have to control your future. Victoria grew up under rules designed to make her dependent. She had little privacy and almost no freedom. Yet those years taught her to protect her own judgment. When the crown came, she refused to remain a puppet. You may not choose the conditions in which your story begins, but you can choose what those conditions teach you. Freedom requires boundaries. Victoria became free when she learned to say no. She refused Conroy's pressure. She chose her own household. She demanded private space. Her first great victory was not over another country. It was over the people who wanted to control her mind. A calm no can sometimes change your entire life. Love can make responsibility easier, but it cannot remove it. Albert supported Victoria, advised her, and helped her carry the weight of the crown. Their partnership made both of them stronger. But their marriage also required patience, honesty, and repeated repair after conflict. Real love is not a perfect dream. It is two imperfect people choosing to keep building together. Grief changes shape, but it does not have to end your life. After Albert died, Victoria believed the brightest part of her life was over. For years, she hid from the public. The pain never fully disappeared. Yet, she eventually returned to duty. Strength does not always mean smiling again. Sometimes, strength means carrying sorrow while taking one more step. Power must be examined honestly. Victoria's age created progress and beauty, but it also produced exploitation and injustice. Her story teaches us that personal goodness does not automatically make every system around a person good. When we study powerful people, we should admire courage without hiding harm. Honest history is not built from worship or hatred. It is built from the courage to see the whole picture. Queen Victoria did not begin life as the most powerful woman in the world. She began as a child who could not even walk through her own home alone. She gained a crown, but the crown did not protect her from loneliness. She found love, but love did not protect her from loss. She ruled an empire, but power did not make her life simple. Her deepest victory was not that she never broke. She did break. Her deepest victory was that, after breaking, she continued, and perhaps that is why her story still speaks to us. You do not need to feel fearless before you become strong. You do not need to forget your pain before you move forward. You do not need a perfect past to build a meaningful future. But you do need honesty. You need courage. And sometimes you need the patience to take one small step after another for many years. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which part of Queen Victoria's life stayed with you the most? Was it her controlled childhood, her love for Prince Albert, her long years of grief, or the difficult truth about the empire she represented? Write your answer in the comments. If this story helped you understand history and improve your English, please like the video and subscribe to Timeless Stories. Thank you for listening. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and remember this. A difficult beginning may shape you, but it does not have to decide who you become. Until our next Timeless Story, take care.